Welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you're building web, mobile, or AI apps right now, you have absolutely heard the massive buzz around Supabase. It's basically the platform that's eating the developer world today. For years, we developers were stuck making this painful compromise. Do we spend months building a rock-solid relational database from scratch? Or do we cave and use a quick backend as a service that locks us into a limited NoSQL document store? Well, Supabase completely shatters that compromise. It rolls your database, authentication, APIs, and file storage all into one incredibly fast, production-ready platform.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking, right? Isn't this just a Firebase clone? Actually, no. Firebase is a fantastic tool, but it's built around Google's ecosystem and leans heavily on NoSQL databases. Supabase takes a totally different route. Its absolute biggest game changer is that it gives you the immense power and portability of a full SQL database, specifically the Postgres engine. And that matters so much. It means you get that magical rapid-fire development speed of Firebase, but you get to keep the sheer horsepower of relational data modeling, complex joins, and real transactions that serious apps actually need.
All right, so here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the modern backend promise, the Postgres engine, the developer toolkit, architecture and use cases, and finally, the reality check. Let's dive right in.
Section 2. The Postgres engine, the beating heart of Supabase.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is that Supabase isn't just wrapping some fake watered-down abstraction layer over your data. With every single project, you get a full dedicated Postgres database. And that brings us to a concept you absolutely have to grasp, row-level security, or RLS. In the old days, you'd write a whole backend API in Node or Python literally just to check if a user is allowed to see a piece of data. Well, RLS flips that script entirely. It lets the database itself decide exactly which specific rows an authenticated user can access. This is the exact magic that makes it totally safe to query your database directly from your front-end client.
Let's see how this RLS logic actually plays out in the real world. Think about a foundational rule, like a user can only read a profile row if the row ID perfectly matches their authenticated user ID. It's incredibly simple, it's elegant, and it's executed down at the lowest possible level of your system. But, and this is a massive but, for any serious project, you've got to treat RLS as core architecture. It is not an optional, nice-to-have feature. If you expose your tables without setting up proper RLS policies, you are going to leak data. It really is that simple.
Section 3, the developer toolkit, expanding the engine.
We're going to take a really quick, rapid-fire tour of the modular tools they've built right on top of that Postgres engine, starting with Supabase Auth. Because, let's be honest, building login systems from scratch, managing sessions, password resets, OAuth, it takes weeks of tedious, mind-numbing work. Supabase Auth handles that whole identity layer right out of the box. We're talking basic email and password, magic links, social logins, all the way up to enterprise single sign-on. But the real kicker here is the RLS integration. Supabase Auth uses JSON web tokens that plug directly into your database. That means your user's identity is perfectly, seamlessly synced with exactly what rows they are allowed to see.
Next up is Supabase Storage. Now, you might look at this and think, okay, cool, it's just a bucket to upload profile pics. No way. It's way more advanced than that. It's a fully S3-compatible, massively scalable file management system. People are using it for everything from basic user avatars to highly secure private KYC documents, dynamically generated reports, and even AI vector embeddings. And just like the Auth system, its real superpower is how tightly it integrates with those Postgres access policies. So you could restrict a user to only download a specific PDF if they meet a super complex condition written directly into your database. How cool is that?
All right, let's talk about Supabase Realtime. This feature is wild. It lets your clients send and receive live updates, broadcasting messages, or listening to database changes instantly. It feels like magic. But I want to pose a really critical question to you. Does every single page of your app actually need real-time updates? It is so tempting to make absolutely everything live. But if you oversubscribe to database changes without proper filtering, you're going to create a massive amount of unnecessary load and some really unstable client behavior. Use it for your chat apps. Use it for live delivery dashboards. Absolutely, but definitely use it wisely.
So, what do you do when you have secure server-side logic that absolutely shouldn't live on the front end? That is exactly where globally distributed edge functions step in. They are perfect, literally built for, handling secure tasks like Stripe webhooks, spinning up custom API endpoints, or calling third-party APIs without accidentally leaking your secret keys to the client. But you really need to understand their limits. They run on a fast, Dino-compatible runtime meant for extremely low latency.
Actually, scratch that. They aren't just for low latency. They are strictly not meant for heavy, long-running background jobs. You've got to keep them fast and keep them lightweight. 1. That is exactly the number of databases you need for both your standard structured business data and your AI embeddings. Why is that a huge deal? Well, because Supabase natively supports the PG vector extension right inside Postgres. So instead of spinning up an entirely separate, super complex vector database just to add a neat little AI search feature, you keep your relational data and your vector data intimately connected in one single place. It simplifies the whole modern AI architecture so much.
Section 4, Architecture and Use Cases. Let's look at good versus bad workflows.
Honestly, this right here is what separates the amateurs from the pros when using Supabase. A really terrible, dangerous habit is just clicking around your production dashboard, manually tweaking tables, and then eventually forgetting what you even changed a week later. Please don't do that. A serious project demands a disciplined local development workflow using the Supabase CLI. You create a migration file, you test it locally using a Docker container, you meticulously review the raw SQL, and only then do you deploy it through a controlled process or branching pipeline. Always version control your database.
In the real world, you've got to strike an architectural balance. Picture this. You're building a massive, complex food delivery app. Supabase is absolutely phenomenal for those frontline tasks. We're talking user logins, instant CRUD APIs for the restaurant menus, and real-time order tracking. But for the really heavy stuff, complex multi-step transactions, verifying driver payments, fraud detection, hardcore audit logging, for that you absolutely still want a dedicated backend service built in Node, Go, or Java. Use Supabase for that incredible infrastructure speed, but rely on a traditional backend for the complex business workflows. Trust me, they work beautifully together.
Section 5, the reality check. Let's look at this from the senior engineer's perspective.
Look, Supabase is an incredibly powerful tool, but I want to be super clear and explicitly list out when it is a genuinely bad choice for your team. If your team doesn't know SQL, or worse, if you're treating this like some magic toy backend to avoid learning architecture, you are walking directly into a trap. Direct client-to-database access is incredibly dangerous if you don't have a deep, foundational understanding of database security and permissions. If you're using Supabase as a shortcut to actively avoid learning how Postgres actually works, it is going to bite you hard in production.
You also might look at Supabase's fantastic open source label and think, hey, I'll just self-host it to save some money. Well, hold on. Managed Supabase on the cloud gives you automated backups, point-in-time recovery, branching, and advanced metrics. Self-hosting? Yes, it gives you full control, but at the cost of a massive maintenance burden. If your engineering team can't flawlessly manage Postgres maintenance, security hardening, high availability, and disaster recovery, do not self-host simply to cut a few costs. Managed is vastly safer for the majority of teams out there.
I really want you to internalize this quote because it perfectly anchors the senior engineer's perspective on this whole platform. Supabase gives me back-end infrastructure faster, but I still need good architecture, security, schema design, and operational discipline. The platform radically reduces your boilerplate back-end coding, which is great. But the big takeaway from this explainer is that reducing back-end work does not magically remove your engineering responsibility. The fundamentals of good, secure software design, those still rest entirely on your shoulders.
Which brings us to the ultimate question you've got to ask yourself and your team before you boot up your next project. Are you genuinely ready to build faster, or are you just using a shiny new tool to skip the discipline? Supabase offers incredible speed and unprecedented power by putting Postgres front and center, but to turn that massive hype into actual operational reality, you have to bring the discipline. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep building securely, and I'll catch you on the next one.